With me tonight in New York is Carolina Bermudez. She's a senior editor for In Touch Weekly. Joining me from Washington tonight, Ben Ferguson. He's the host of the syndicated radio program, The Ben Ferguson Show. Well, this Vanity Fair article is called Me and Mrs. Palin. It is remarkable. Among the explosive claims, Levi says that Sarah Palin wanted to adopt her 17-year-old daughter's baby. Listen to what Levi writes. Sarah told me she had a great idea. We would keep it a secret. Nobody would know that Bristol was pregnant. She told me once that Bristol had the baby, she and Todd would adopt him. That way, she said, Bristol and I didn't have anything to worry about. Well, according to Levi, this happened before former Governor Palin was tapped to become the Republican vice presidential nominee. Carolina, let me begin with you. Does this outrageous claim just blow your mind?
Yeah, AJ, it really doesn't. I mean, the things that are coming out of this guy's mouth are ridiculous. I mean, before he told us that Sarah knew what was going on in the bedroom with him and Bristol, and now this. These are some secrets that he's unleashing and he's unveiling to everyone, and nothing could be more damaging, I don't think, than this statement right here.
Hey, Ben, I know you're reading this article and thinking, well, it must be true.
Yeah, right. I mean, it reminds me of K-Fed, at least though K-Fed actually has a job and is actually taking care of his kids. I mean, this is a classic guy who got to walk on stage, be famous for, being associated with somebody, and now he's trying to milk it for all it's worth and make some cash doing it. I mean, the thing is, it's sick because you've got a child involved here, and people are actually paying for this kind of stuff. And you know what? I have a hard time believing that Sarah Palin and her husband talked about divorce around this guy who's unemployed and barely sees his kid.
Well, let me get to that. And it's interesting, too. You mentioned that here's a guy who had instant fame, and it's something, if you read the whole article, he had no interest in, according to him, at the beginning of the whole vice presidential nominee process. But Levi said the Palins aren't the happy family that they want everybody to think they are. Levi writes that Sarah Palin and her husband have been on the brink of divorce for a while. Listen to this. There was a lot of talk of divorce in that house, and there were times when Sarah and Todd would mention it and sound pretty serious. Todd would say, all right, do you want a divorce? Is that what you want? Let's do it. Sign the papers. They'd either stop and be fine, or Sarah would go to her room. I have to point out again that this article is in Levi's own words. Carolina, what do you think is going on here? Is he being vindictive, or is he possibly telling it like it is?
Oh, I think there are two things going on here. I think, number one, he's telling it like it is. He's singing like a canary. I think that innocently, Mrs. Palin, I guess at the time, and her husband were talking about things, and they didn't think that their daughter's high school boyfriend would ever come back to haunt them or make statements that would come back to haunt them. But I also think that he's reaching for the fame. He got a little taste of it. Now he wants more, and he's going to do anything that he can do to get that.
Yeah,
I mean, they welcomed me.
Maybe you should get a radio show, Ben. Do you think that Sarah is going to have to come out swinging here to save her reputation, or she doesn't even need to say anything? Because, as you mentioned, basically he's this 19-year-old unemployed single father.
This guy's a walking contradiction, and the fact of the matter is he's making stuff up. I really don't think they had like family court where they sat down at the table and discussed in front of their children if they were going to get divorced, if they even were going to get divorced, which I think is fabricated completely. But this guy's doing anything and saying anything to make some quick money, and he's going to be this guy that's a has-been that never goes away. Well, I mean, he's hanging out with a B-lister, Kathy Griffin, who's using him, and he'll do that.
We love Kathy Griffin.
Back off, Kathy.
Yeah, and Carolina, let me ask you, and very quickly, Levi, as I said, claims there are lots of offers coming his way. Do you get that?
I don't get it. I don't understand.